How you doing, folks? Welcome to the Knucklehead Podcast Network. This is Chris and Baltimore Blaine coming at you for our Friday Pick'em show. And we haven't done one of these in a while. You do see our picks up. We post them up to the site at NuckPods on Facebook and at NuckPods on Twitter. You can always reach us at knuckleheadpods at gmail.com as well. Something happened to my picks last week, so I got 14-0. So I'm only competing on the weekly now because we all agreed that if you don't get it in on time, it's your problem. So I didn't get it on time, so I'm out of the season race. But Blaine and I both decided we're going to try and be slick this week, and for the very first game on Thursday, we tried to try and pick up the Vikings over the Rams. I thought that maybe they could come back. I made the pick before I knew Peters was out, so maybe that would have been the difference. But trying to be a little too cute there, and kind of came back to bite me. How about you, Blaine? Why'd you pick the Vikes?
I'm a gut pick person. So I mean, my gut told me to go with the Vikings. The Vikings looked very bad last week. They were looking forward to this game, and I thought this is okay. They're going to come out now to prove that that last week was a fluke, that they were a lot better than what they showed, and that they're going up against the king of the mountain right now, and they're determined to take that hill. So, and they came up short. That's why I picked them.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of I guess you call the gut pick. I was kind of a little more calculated in it, but either way, we're both wrong. And the rest of our crew, Shane, Hirsch, Coach Thomas, Luis, all those guys got it right. So
well, the one thing I will tell you, Chris, Jared Goff is real.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think we kind of figured that out last year, but this year especially, I think he's real. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of look up some of the injuries for each game, and then you can give me your thoughts on what you think, and I'll close out the game. We'll move on to the next one. So first of all, we're going to go down to Jacksonville, and the Jags, who looked great on defense, and Blake Bortles looked absolutely horrible last week. For some reason, they could not get out of their own way, and they lost to the Titans, who we'll get to in a second. The quarterback can't throw. I mean, it's an absolute mess. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have some pretty big injuries, and that Leonard Fournette, as of today, from the official side of the Jaguars, is questionable with a hamstring. And DJ Hayden, their slot corner, who's going to be going against Quincy Enunwa for most of the game, is out. And I think those are really big injuries. The Jets, on the other hand, they don't have they have a lot of injuries, but they have some backup safeties, Middleton and May. Buster Skrine is one of their starting cornerbacks. That's a problem for them. But besides that, they're coming in. They're pretty healthy. It is going to be in Jacksonville. What do you think about this game, Bob?
I think what you're going to see is a good defense go up against a better defense. That being the Jaguars having a better defense in Jacksonville, so they're going to be at home. Sam Darnold faces another even tougher defense for the second straight week. He went 15 for 31, 169 yards, no touchdowns last week in the 21-17 loss to the Browns in Cleveland. And things aren't going to get any easier this week for him.
Yeah,
Todd Bowles, by the way, is I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish out your thought, and then I'll jump
in. Todd Bowles, by the way, said that he's going to get more involved in the defensive play calling and the 2-minute slot situations. That's according to news.
Okay, I think you said that Todd Bowles is going to be getting the 2-minute sub packages, which he was one of the better defensive minds when he was with the Cardinals as far as sideline presence. So I think that might be good for him. I think that, like you said, Sam Darnold just can't catch a break. He's facing a lot of tough teams, and I just don't think that the rookie's ready to play against this Jacksonville team. However, if you can only score 6 points in the NFL like they did last week against the Titans, even a team like the Jets, I think the Jets are better than the Titans. except for on the defensive side. We'll get to that when we get to Titans. I think that anyone can beat you, but I think that they pick it up just a little bit this week, and Jacksonville pulls it up. How about you?
I'm going with Jackson. Thinking back here, Chris, last season, I had that pattern. I lose with this team.
Yeah,
is that kind of quarter. It's on the next week, off 1 week, and see if that pattern continues.
Okay. So next we're going to go to a team that is on the way down, and a team that we're about to see how real they are. We got to look at Miami and New England. Miami is coming in undefeated. New England is coming in looking like not themselves. They've pulled this a few times in the beginning of a couple of seasons and gone on to the Super Bowl. So it's not time to start ringing the alarm bells yet for New England. I remember when they got thumped by Kansas City and everyone thought they were done. Then they went back home and put the thumping on a few other people. This might be that Dolphins game. I think this game is actually going to be a little closer than people would like. They have one more game left in Edelman's suspension. Josh Gordon is coming out this week. They just had to put Rex Burkhead on the IR, so he's out for the season. And Miami's coming in pretty fresh. New England has some defensive issues. But with all that said and done, I'm not quite there yet to believe that New England has hit the wall or that Miami is as good as their record appears. So I'm going to say that New England pulls it out barely.
I agree with you. I'm going to go with New England. The last thing they want to do is go 1-4 and fall another game behind their division rival who's 3-0, or would be 4-0 if they lose this game. Patriots are back home now. With Gronk being questionable, he was held down last week. I think the last couple of weeks he's been held back by defenses. And Josh Gordon is not. He hasn't had a full practice, or he's only been limited in practice ever since the trade, since he's gotten there. So even if he gets in the game, it's going to be probably very very used very very slightly. Let's put it that way. He's suffering with that hamstring. So on the other hand, that defensive line on the Dolphins has taken 2 big hits in their rotation with Andre Branch, in the rotation now. He's got a knee injury. He's out for indefinitely, and of course we all know about the William Hayes ACL tear, trying to sack the quarterback and stay within the rules. So that defensive line for the Dolphins is something to look out for. I'm going to take the Patriots, though. Again, I think it means more to the Patriots. I think the Patriots have a chance to show that they are still the tough beat at home.
Yeah, and as of it's questionable. It might be one of those regular questionables where they just, because they had a change in their practice routine, they have to be reported as questionable. But Cameron Wake and Rashad Jones both are on the injury chart. Bill Belichick does this every week. He has about 40 people on the injury list, so I'm not going to read all those out because it's silly. Because he just kind of just puts everyone up there and says, hey, if the league will let me do it, I'm going to do it every week. So that's what he does. So everybody on the Patriots apparently is hurt, according to this sheet. Let's move on to this is Philadelphia and Tennessee. Tennessee right now, the quarterback Mark Mariota, the backup quarterback Blaine Gabbert is in concussion protocol. Mariota is there because they have to put him out there. He has a problem. He's had some kind of weird injury with his elbow, arm, and hand where he has nerve damage or something, where he can't really move it or grip the ball correctly. He's even come out and said he can't grip the ball correctly. That's why they can't throw the ball. And they're going against Philly, who really looked pretty bad last week. Wentz did not look that good in his. He had some mobility, which is good to see, for him in his career. But as far as how he looked managing that offense, he looked pretty bad. With these two teams like this, it's kind of. I'm just going to say that Philadelphia is less in shambles than Tennessee, and if Wentz, can start putting it together, they can do something. Tennessee can't even throw the ball, so I don't see how Philadelphia can lose this one. Even though Tennessee's defense, I do want to give them credit because they have been way better than anyone gave them credit for coming into the season. But just to make that clear, my pick is Philadelphia.
I'm going to say, I agree, but actually Mariota was serviceable when he went in last week. I think he threw for over 100 yards and a pretty good ratio completion to attempts, and he also used his legs. Now that was only that wasn't a full game. I also Blaine Gabbert is still in concussion protocol right now. Yeah, Darren Sproles for the Eagles. Darren Sproles is out with a hamstring injury, but Jay Ajayi is supposed to play coming back from a back injury. I'm going to pick Eagles because I just think they're a stronger team, and for the reasons that you said, the question marks at quarterback.
Okay. Next we go to Houston and Indianapolis. Houston, Deshaun is doing it again, and he's not really putting together the wins and the excitement. They do have some disconnects. That defense looks pretty shoddy in a lot of ways, but the kid is still throwing the ball. He's still moving. He's still doing all the things that everyone said it was going to be a fluke. It's proven that the numbers that he puts up are not flukish. I think this is what we're going to see. Indianapolis, on the other hand, we have Andrew Luck just does not look like he can get the ball down the field, and it's becoming pretty obvious. I'd say one of the most obvious things is when they pulled him out to throw the Hail Mary and then put in Jacoby Brissett. That, to me, threw up a lot of red lights. The Indy defense is doing better than people thought, but I don't think they're ready for what's going to come at them with Houston. I'm going to go with Houston.
Okay, do you really think Houston is back, though? I mean,
back from what? I'm saying the kid is back. Deshaun Watson's back. Houston themselves have never been there, so I don't know how they can get back there.
No. I'm talking about this. That's what I was talking about. Deshaun Watson. I have to go the other way. I don't trust this Texans team. They don't seem to have it together. They've lost all 3 games so far, and now they're on the road in Indianapolis. And I was picking them before, and now it's like, show me something. They're going to have to show me that Deshaun's got that offense running again.
Yeah, I'm not super high on him, but I'm even lower on Indy. I think that's really what it comes down
to. Yeah, you got good points there. I mean, the Andrew Luck mystery is really that was the whole thing about our preseason show when we did this division is what's going to be what Colts are we going to see? Colts was a big question mark. I was high on the Texans as being taking this division, but they proved me wrong so far.
And division
games they're going to prove me wrong altogether.
Yeah, division games are always a little closer than we think. So that one will be interesting to see. So next we have a team that blew everyone's doors off and a team that really let down last week. The Buffalo Bills. Before we go on to the game, what did you think about that Buffalo victory over the Vikings? What do you think what do you think made that happen? Like, how does that happen? 17-point underdog winning on the road.
I think the Vikings weren't prepared for Buffalo. I think they looked past Buffalo. Buffalo has been the joke of the league, or one of the jokes of the league so far. Then you look at Josh Allen coming in as the quarterback, a rookie quarterback. I think that they were looking ahead to this Rams game that they just lost. Of course, looking at the defense for the Vikings, I don't know. They got some serious issues.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row that they've been kind of beat up on the defensive side of the ball. They're supposed to be
well, there was no defense in that game yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let me ask you this. I'll tell you, I think that Rodgers isn't right. He is on the injury report. Cobb has been looking shoddy, and it shows up again that he's on the injury report. He might not play. Green Bay just kind of looks like a shell of themselves. but I think they have the ability to bounce back. And I think Buffalo comes down to earth with a thud. So I'm going to go with Green Bay. What do you think? Do you think Buffalo? This is they might get Shady back, and they just come off the biggest win in the last 20 years in the NFL as far as an upset in the regular season. What do you think happens?
I think that they have to do it a second week in a row on the road against a very good team. The Packers have shown that they can come back at any time, as long as Aaron Rodgers is in there. I'm picking the Packers on this one at home. I don't think the rookie and that crew can overcome the Packers in Lambeau.
Yeah. Okay. And then last week, Dallas went up to Seattle and got beat. Looked really, really bad. Couldn't run the ball. Kept giving the ball up. That offensive line. I think what the big thing that I noticed, and I only noticed that game because I watched the whole thing, is that offensive line is nothing like the one that was terrorizing the league 2 years ago. And that is the biggest difference, and that's the one thing that they're going to have to get over. And I don't see any way they can. Sean Lee, who's their best defensive player, is going to be out with a hamstring. They have some problems at safety. They feel kind of silly for not getting Earl Thomas after he made a second pick. He looked to their sideline and bowed to him, which I thought was kind of funny. And on the other side of the ball, Detroit put together their first 100-yard rusher, and was it like 16 years or some crazy number? I forget how many years it was, but they put together the first 100-yard rusher in a long time. The offense looks to be clicking. The defense, on the other hand, does not, especially the run defense. So what I'm interested to see is Zeke versus a bad run defense and a bad everything defense versus Detroit's pass. Dallas is going to try and slow down the game and use Zeke and first downs as their defense. But if they're not getting those first downs, which I'm not sure if they're going to, then you're going to have to put the ball in Matt Stafford's hands, and I think he'll carve them up. So I'm actually going to go Detroit on this one.
I'm going Detroit as well. I liked what the Lions did against the Patriots last week, and I think they're going to build on that. Again, Cowboys, as you said, have been inefficient all season, at least for the first 3 weeks. I'm feeling even at home, even being at home, that the Lions are going to be too much. That offense is going to be too much for them to overcome.
All right. Now, we saw a fantastic game last Monday where we saw Tampa Bay and Steelers. Maybe not a fantastic game in the fact of how many penalties there were, how sloppy it was, bad defense. But as far as excitement level goes, it was a pretty fun game. They have to go into Soldier Field, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and go against the Greg Roman defense, which is not super flashy, but I think is going to absolutely shut them down. I'm using Chicago in a lot of my fantasy stuff. I think that Fitzpatrick's going to throw some picks. I think they're going to be able to get some pressure on Fitzpatrick because they haven't done anything to shore up that offensive line. I like Chicago to win this pretty handily.
And I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. Even with that, for one, I just don't trust Trubisky. I'm not on board with Trubisky yet. And I think Fitzpatrick still has that magic. I didn't like the way that he looked last week, but then again, they came within 3 points of tying that game, even as bad as he was playing. So I'm gonna roll with the Bucks on the road. I just don't think the Bears are there. Although not far. I mean, I just feel my gut feeling, again, gut pick, is the Buccaneers, so that's what I'm going with.
Okay. So, yeah, good. At least we have some separation on this, so we can have some differences, so we can make sure that one of us comes out on top here. Next game, I think, is going to be an absolute shootout. The Bengals are going down to Atlanta. The Bengals have shown, I think their defense is a little underrated, but they have some holes in Atlanta at home on the turf. Matty Ice on the turf is a dangerous thing. Atlanta, on the other hand, is down linebacker. They're down Keanu Neal and their other starting safety. They have a bunch of problems in the middle of the field. tight ends and pass catching running backs are eating them alive, which are two things Cincinnati has in full. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. What do you see going on? And no Freeman and no Mixon. So it's going to be Gio Bernard and Tevin Coleman going at each other as starting running backs. So what do you see happening in this? Because I know you're an AFC North guy. Do you think the Bengals can go down and pull it off?
I think the Bengals are going to squeak it out with another one of those lucky interceptions or fumbles at the end of the game. They always seem to get the bounce. That frustrates me about that team. They get these wins off of these weird-ass plays at the end of the game. The Bengals have shown that they can win on the road. I think they're a better balanced team than the Falcons. Although Ridley, I like what Ridley did last week. I mean, they're double teaming Julio Jones and Ridley's breaking free, and but then that's the offense. The defense is still so-so. So I'm going to say the Bengals are going to squeak it out in Atlanta.
Okay. Next up, down in Phoenix, we have my Seattle Seahawks going against the hapless Arizona Cardinals. And before I talk about, the Seahawks, I'm not even let you just talk about the Seahawks. What the Arizona coaching staff is doing down there is absolutely atrocious. Capped off, I won't get into the full rant, but capped off with the fact that on the third and short play, the most important play of the game, you have David Johnson on the bench, have your backup running back in there to run the ball, and you run a stretch play to a perimeter run play on 3rd and 2, and with David Johnson on the bench. I mean, it's just an absolute shit show down there. They're going to let the rookie Rosen come out and give it a shot. Try and start his first game. He's going to play his first game. Seattle defense, well, people love to tell you about how it's not the same defense. On the passing game, you have Earl Thomas back. They're looking a lot better. They have a number of takeaways. They're third in the NFL in takeaways right now. I think that they have some things that are starting to click. Not saying that they're the Seahawks of old, but I think they can click better, good enough to beat an 0-3 team starting a rookie for the first time with the coaching staff that doesn't know how to get out of its own way. Lots of injuries on the offensive line as well as their defensive tackles. They have 3 defensive tackles out. Chris Carson ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown last week. Looks like they finally found a bell cow back there in Seattle. I think that Seattle and Russ go down there and beat them pretty soundly.
I'm picking Seattle for this one too. I'm still concerned about the O-line for Seattle, but the Cardinals are a train wreck, man. I mean, you got Josh Rosen, as you said, starting his first game this week, but he might not have Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is still working through I believe a hamstring injury, and last week he was only targeted twice. Josh Rosen we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I think that Seahawks is just the better team. The Cardinals are probably the worst team in the league, in my opinion. And Seahawks.
Seahawks all the way, yeah, and they're doing a lot. They're doing some things better. Everyone keeps talking about the offensive line, but I don't think the people that have seen it. That's like one of the things that they actually are looking a lot better at. Dallas came in with I think they're averaging 4.5, 5 sacks a game. Seattle only gave up 2 last week, so they're looking a lot better. They get Doug Baldwin back this week, which is a huge plus. So we'll see, but I think that this is a good building block for Seattle, and I think that Arizona is kind of in the middle of a toilet bowl season. So here's an interesting one. Here's one I want to really get your opinion on. I wish we had Shane on to tell us why I'm crazy about this, but we have Cleveland and Oakland. And another rookie making his first start, even though he played most of the last game and looked absolutely phenomenal. This time he's going to be ready to prepare for him in the Oakland Raiders. I think that the Oakland Raiders still are just an absolute mess, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think that Cleveland and all that talent and all those first-round picks after years and years, they're all starting to stick. I really like Cleveland. Even in Oakland, I think that they're going to be able to go in there and pull it off. Cleveland's coming in healthy. They got Hyde. They got Njoku. Oakland has a problem with tight ends. They have Njoku there, who's an absolute stud. Callaway, who had 10 targets last week, should have had a couple of bombs. He and Baker Mayfield were on the second team together. The kid looks like an absolute star in the making. I think that they can do something with him. You got Jarvis Landry. That defense is playing lights out. I think that they're going to go into the black hole and beat them.
I'm going to go opposite on that one. And I hear what you're saying. And this one I've been going back and forth with, and I finally had to make a pick. And you got the Raiders at home, a winless Raider team, desperate Raiders team at home. The last two games were close games. They just lost week 2 to Denver by a point, and then Miami by 8 points. And both of those were on the road. So now they're back home. You got a Baker Mayfield coming in, start his first game as a rookie and on the road. And as you said, they may have enough tape on him now to plan for him. I just feel like the Browns might come up a bit short with the desperate Raiders team here, even though I think the Browns are the better team.
Yeah, well, you know what the Raiders need is a pass rush.
Oh, why don't they have a pass rush, I wonder?
I don't know. Maybe because the $100 million man couldn't come up with any more money to pay one of the best pass rushers in the league.
Where are you staying? I want.
Yeah, where's Shane? Yeah, where's Shane at? Shane would have something to say about that, but he'd be wrong because that was a stupid move to let him go and not pay him. And the Bears are arguing that, and he just completely changed an already good defense. I mean, he's a game changer. He's an absolute game changer that was misused under what's his name, the old head coach. And now that you have a chance to have the best defensive player, one of the top 2 defensive players in the league, on your team, and you let him go to be stubborn. I don't get it. And that's why the Raiders aren't going to get it, and I think they're going to get run over. I think Carlos Hyde is going to have a huge game in this one. I think they're going to run right at them, and I don't think they're going to be able to get pressure on the rookie. That's why I think that Mayfield's going to be able to do good. I'm really impressed with him so far, I have to admit. But at the same time, if you got some pressure on him and showed him some looks that he hadn't seen yet, I bet you could really rattle him. But then he doesn't have to worry about that with the Raiders. That's why I think that the Browns go in there and pull that one off.
I agree. All logic's telling me to pick the Browns. But that gut, is telling me that you got a desperate Raiders team that's about to go 0-4. If they don't pull this out at home. So that's why I went with the Raiders.
I gotcha. Well, I can roll with that. So next one is another one that looks like it could be a good game. These two, when they get together, they do tend to shoot out. New Orleans and the Giants. The Giants had a lot of potential, but last week they showed us that they can really put together a coherent offensive plan and execute it. And I think that they're starting to come around. Saquon Barkley is as advertised. That kid is just a monster. You can tell that he's going to be one of the next studs in the league. You have Shepard. You do have some injuries. You have injuries to Ingram, and some of the other receivers are banged up. So you're going to see a lot of target share to Saquon Barkley, to Sterling Shepard, and to OBJ. It's going to be really focused. And the New Orleans defense has looked absolutely atrocious all year. They're giving up so many points, starting with Tampa Bay all the way through. I mean, last week they had to play Atlanta, but they just gave up everything. Luckily they have Drew Brees to try and come back, but that doesn't work all the time. And there is something. This is not just like a myth. This is something since Drew Brees has been in New Orleans, Drew Brees on the road outside are by far his lowest. There is a huge drop-off on his productivity. Alvin Kamara is a freak of nature also. So this game is going to be one of those really exciting ones. It's going to come down to the last pass. I'm actually going to go with the home team. I'm gonna buck the trend. I'm going to go with the Giants.
Ooh. I'm going Saints. I think I believe in the Saints more than I believe in the Giants right now. You're right. The Giants have some things coming together, but when it comes down to it, I'm going to go with Breeze over Manning, and that ground game. That defense is not as bad as it looks or as it's been performing, and I'm just feeling that they're going to come around. That they're and this is a game to do it. This is a game to do it. So I'm gonna pick New Orleans. Um, Again, a gut pick. My logical picks haven't been working out for me, so I'm gut picking now.
Your gut pick like Minnesota last night.
Yeah.
That kind of gut pick?
That's true. That's true. That one didn't work out, but the other ones weren't working out for me either. So hey, what do I got to lose?
I don't know. Hirsch and Coach Taylor have been cleaning up this year. So Coach Taylor, I think, is in first place overall. So hey, kudos to them. We'll try and get them on one of the shows in the future. Next is a sad story. If I had some sad music or some violin music, I'd play it right now. Jimmy G is out. Stupid. I don't know. I mean, Josh Allen did it against the Vikings and went head first bonsai and made him look like a hero. And Jimmy does it, and season's over. So season's over. Going to a Chargers team that's getting healthy. I mean, this one's pretty much in the bag, if you ask me.
I'm with you. I'm picking the Chargers at home. Enough said about the 49ers. Their season's done.
Yeah, Sherman's out for a few weeks. The safety's out. They got some other people that are nicked up, and then of course the big one being Breida has a knee problem, and then of course the big one being Jimmy being out for the season. I think that's pretty much it for the Niners in 2018.
Yeah.
So why don't you intro our Sunday night game and tell me what you think, and I'll just pick at the end.
Ravens and Steelers. We have the rivalry of rivalries. These two teams, no matter how they're doing, play each other tough. And they're playing in Pittsburgh on Sunday night. Right now, Pittsburgh is looking very, very vulnerable. But I can guarantee you when the Ravens come into town, they're going to be looking like Super Bowl Steelers. But that being said, the Ravens have an offense. And, you heard me right. The Ravens have an offense. What they need to do, though, is they need to give Alex Collins the ball. Marty Mornhinweg is always saying how he believes in running the ball, but he does not want to run the ball. Feed Alex Collins. That pass rush of the Ravens on Big Ben is going to force him into mistakes. And he's been doing a lot of them. Although he was okay last week. He didn't throw any last week, but all you have to you rattle Big Ben, and you can get him to mess up. That Steelers defense, their secondary sucks.
As we saw on Monday night, yeah, they got destroyed by a guy just throwing up Hail Mary passes.
You can run on them, as I've always said the last couple of years. You can run on them, you can throw on them, and that's not something we're used to with the Steelers defense. Having a secondary that's that easy to playing like a sieve. I picked the Ravens in this one because I think the Ravens just are that much better.
This is a tough one because the Steelers are back home, and I really want the Ravens to win. I think they have everything, but I just see, because I think that Baltimore is going to win at home, and I don't see one team taking this series. I'm just going to go with the fact that I think that the home team is going to win both of these games this year. So I'm going to lean with the home team, and I think Pittsburgh kind of put something together just a little bit. I think that they're going to get back. Something I forgot to mention then when we talked to the Jets is that the Jets have made a formal offer to the Steelers for Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, they did.
And if any place makes sense, I think that place makes sense for this whole thing to end. Is the end of the Jets lap. But to make sure that's clear, I'm going to end up going with the home team. I'm going with the Steelers.
And I want to point out that with these two teams, they've had it where they've won in each other's. I mean, they've split their series before where they've won in each other's home on each other's home turf. That's not uncommon. Joe Flacco loves playing in Pittsburgh. Unlike Cincinnati, he struggles in Cincinnati, but he plays in Pittsburgh. And Ben Roethlisberger plays in Baltimore. Plays good in Baltimore. So. Yeah, but I see what you're saying, that it's unlikely to split, but this is I think the Ravens. I'm pulling for my Ravens. I'm feeling strong about my Ravens. I think they can split the Steelers this year.
Well, I have no doubt you're gonna pull for your Ravens. I'll be pulling for your Ravens too to win. Just in pick 'em, I want to try and win this week. So it was kind of a toss up, and I was actually gonna change to the Ravens, but we all made a deal that we can't change. So I'm going to stick to it. Yeah, I believe that's it. So I'm going Steelers.
Oh, Monday Broncos.
Night. I said, yeah, I'm going Steelers.
I thought you were saying that was for the games. I'm sorry.
No, Monday night. We can't forget Monday night, because Monday night we have a divisional game. We have a barn burner. We have one of the hottest young arms in the league, going up to one of the most difficult places to play. I talked about this in week 1 when I picked against my Seahawks in Denver. There's something to altitude in September on that field, and they have, I think they're 48, and I think they've lost 8 times out of the last 52 games, something like that. So I am kind of torn, because I don't really see how people are going to beat Mahomes right now when you don't really have an offense that can stand toe-to-toe with him. And as much as I love my stats, I love my mile high stat, I love all that stuff, I don't feel comfortable going for anybody except for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs just have too many weapons. They're too fast. It's going to take the teams a couple of weeks to get some tape on them to figure out how to slow these guys down. I mean, they will figure it out, but right now, no one's figured it out. And it's just fun to watch. And that game, I can't wait to get my popcorn, sit down and watch that game. I think that game is going to be absolutely awesome. But I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs and go against the mile-high September trend.
You tricked me there. I thought you were going with the Broncos. I'm going with the Chiefs as well. Mahomes is on fire. I love what Case Keenum brings to that offense in Denver. They got a quick start on Ravens last week, but then the Ravens shut them down. The defense just shut them down in the second half, and Joe and the offense came back. I think Mahomes is going to dominate this game from the start, though. I just don't think the Broncos have enough to stop them.
Okay. Well, what you're going to get is you're going to see all of our picks will be posted up. We will post them a couple of different places. You can find us always at NuckPods on Facebook and Twitter. And thank you so much for listening tonight. And we will talk to you guys live on Mancini Sports on Tuesday.
Bye.